Hello. So today I wanted to run through one of the best crypto tracking softwares that I found. As an accountant, I think there's still a lot to be built out within tracking of digital assets. There's a few different programs. There's Cryptio, there's Bitwave, there's CryptoWorth, which I'll show you today. Um, Many are still lacking some of the major features that I'd like to see in a lot of these, but they've come a long way. And there hasn't, I guess, just been the same infrastructure or resources put behind crypto tracking yet. But I think this is one of the bigger next steps that is really going to help from an infrastructure level for a lot of accounting companies and a lot of accountants moving forward. Some of the main things I look for, or I've been looking at when I've been sourcing these various platforms and testing them out. I've spent a lot of time in all of them trying to find the best solution. Basically, we're looking for something that is long term. So when I say long term, I guess right now there's many different pricing models that a lot of these companies have. There isn't very standardized methods. So if you jump to the next tier of transactions, all of a sudden the price jumps up significantly. Um, there's certain things if you want to track certain DeFi protocols, if you want to do certain activity within the platform, prices start to go up quite a bit. If you want to add additional entities, portfolios, entities, different tracking within the platform, that goes up. If you want additional users, that also affects that. So CryptoWorth, which I'll show you now, is one of the best in that scenario that we can actually see basically unlimited transactions in the future. We can have as many users as we need. We don't need that many within the system, so that's fine. And we can set up as many different portfolios as we'd like, and I can do this all myself. I also like platforms that give you all the ability to do everything. If there's issues, I like the ability to see those issues on screen, whatever within the UI, just so I can fix that and I don't have to go to them every time. I don't have to reach out on Telegram or whatever. So that's a big one for us. Another one is looking at the roadmap. So do they have SOC reports? What's their purpose? Are they trying to be institutional? Are they trying to just do personal? What's the main goal? Who they have? What they've dealt with to date? CryptoWorth, for example, has dealt with a lot of funds to date. So we've had a lot of little micro transactions for a lot of different movement. Um, so that's another important one. And then the team's ability to meet our requirements, because, like I said, there really isn't any platform right now that's perfect. So this all still needs to be built out. I've already done a lot of work back and forth with the team, and they're very responsive, and I think it's great. Um, Understanding that nothing is going to be perfect because this was not built by accountants. I'm a CPA. Um, I have a bit of an understanding. Well, I have a pretty good understanding of the on-chain side, and then I also have a very good understanding of the accounting side and the rules and all the regulations around that from like an audit perspective, basically. So I know what reports I need to see and I know what I need to support. So I don't expect the devs to know that, but I want the ability to implement different items that I'm looking for. So whether that's intercompany elimination of gain losses on transfers between the companies, whether it's automation of the realized gain loss, whether it's tracking of the adjusted cost basis, inter-entity transfers. A lot of this stuff is just the little items that will bite you in the ass down the road if you get an audit or something like that. So um, that all being said, CryptoWorth. So this is a team primarily based in North America. So I live in the Cayman Islands. For me, it's great. I'm on the same time schedule. Um, yeah, it's a great team. So basically, in here, you can create different entities. So they call them portfolios. But basically, you can create a portfolio for every entity that you have within your organization. I also, sorry to back up a bit, I also want to iterate that or state that this connects to many different ERP systems. So I use NetSuite. So our CryptoWorth connects to NetSuite, which is perfect for me. So basically here, I'm not going to go here because this is company sensitive. This portfolio, I've just grabbed a couple addresses off Etherscan and Polyscan, just for demonstrational purposes. If I jump over into here, you will see all of our different entities and wallets and all this other private information that I can't do. So once you're in that main page, you can click the portfolio or entity, however you want to refer to it, and it'll take you to this screen. And here is the general section that shows you a list of all your assets. If you're tracking DeFi, it'll have all your DeFi activity here. You can see it shows claimables. It will show anything that's staked. It'll show collateral posted. It'll show debt positions. So this pulls directly from Zapper. So this Oracle here, we use Zapper. I'm working with them on doing a combination of both Zapper and DBank, and then comparing the two and getting big variances between those, if there is any. But for the time being, it's a good source. Zapper is one that we used before we had this kind of tool in place. So then you can see, you can see all the different assets here. There's really not much. These wallets, I was trying not to do anything significant because I didn't want a million transactions coming through. Sorry. So that's this page. It does a good job tracking DeFi activity. This is a nice dashboard. I like it. It's all clean. Everything's just simple to understand. I've showed a lot of people this platform so far, and everyone's been able to intuitively pick it up. I can't say the same about Cryptio or Bitwave. So then you jump into the transactions tab. So actually, before I do this, when you're setting up, you go into connections and you connect your wallets. So these were the wallets that I just grabbed, threw them in here. Don't know them, have no ties to these wallets, but just using this for testing purposes. You can see you can track multiple different chains. It just gives you more of an additional breakdown as to what's in these wallets. Source, it just takes you directly to Etherscan. When you want to connect, just go here and you can see there are a ton of different options for connecting. It does a great job for all chains. You got AVAX, obviously ETH, we track a lot of Polygon, and then exchanges as well. So you can do Kraken, Binance, FTX, everything is basically available to you, as well as all the tokens. So all ERC20, they probably have tracking for, I think it's like over 3,000 different tokens, which to me is incredible. I don't know how they built this out. That can't be said about a lot of other ones. A lot of other ones are maybe 1 or 2 chains, and they're just trying to figure it out. So they have full nodes running for a lot of these different chains, and yeah, they have native tracking software somewhere in their platform. So I mean, even with LTC, you can even track XPub addresses. Yeah, there's just a lot you can do here. Sorry, I'm okay, cool. So then once we track those, we can go into our transactions and we can see everything. So obviously you have your time, send, receive, in, out. It shows you, it'll show you which asset this is. It'll show you the chain. You'll have your source here, which is the one we created in the connections tab. So everything coming in at a cost basis. So this is what I love to see as an accountant. We are appropriately tracking cost basis from a price feed through CoinGecko. So that's where this is pulling from. Transaction ID takes you directly to Etherscan. Very simple. Classification. So every line item we need to classify in order to put it into our GL. So I'll come back to this in a sec. Gateway, this shows whether it's been synced to NetSuite or not. Obviously I haven't synced anything. because this is just a test. These are dummies. And info just gives you additional item here. So here you can actually add within the label, you can add some extra information if you want to mark a transaction a certain way, and then you come back and you can see it later. Yeah, there's been lots of times where I completely forget what some of these transactions are, so it's a nice little section just to add additional information. So to jump onto these classifications now, this is kind of the bread and butter of on-chain accounting tracking. So one second, let me just make sure. Oh yeah, before I jump on that, I just wanted to say a couple points. So we discussed it can track different chains. You can easily save a bunch of different wallet addresses. You can track all the ERC20 tokens, and you can also track NFTs. So I don't have NFTs in here. One of the aspects is, I gotta turn that off. One of the aspects with NFTs is it still has issues getting a price feed. I think this is natively going to be an issue within every tracking system so far, because I guess you could take the floor from OpenSea, but I think this is a little bit more open-ended as to how every accountant or every person wants to record NFTs in their books. I'm not going to go into that too far, but it does do a good job tracking, and they have a lot of information on their website through tutorials and everything on the appropriate way to account for NFTs. So that's another option that you can consider as well. And then you can also track contacts. So within here, say for us, we send money to a certain vendor frequently, service provider. I'll put their contact information in here, and then every time we send it, I can immediately see, and I can create a rule around that saying I can classify a certain way every time. So that's a nice feature for me. I have a big now list of, it's basically my repository of all addresses that I keep in here. And I've just had I've made naming sequences, and it's pretty clear now, and I've built rules around that. So it's a nice feature to have, even from labeling contracts as well. So anything, we interact obviously with the Aave ecosystem a lot. So I've labeled the Aave ecosystem reserve. I've labeled a lot of the contract addresses within that. And then also from a tracking perspective, you can also track your Gnosis safes on here. It does a good job tracking contracts as well. So everything's clean. So back to classifications. So in order to classify, you first have to go into accounting. You create a classification. So let's say I want to create gas fees. I would do pretty simply just create gas fees. To me as taxable. I don't want to ignore it. I would add that. So then when I go into transactions, I can click gas fees. And so the next step is then to go into gateways, connect whatever ERP system you are operating, Xero if you want to call it an ERP. I feel certain ways about Xero. Connect that, and then once you do that, you'll connect directly to whatever entity you have. We have multiple different entities, so then I would select my entity within that connection. And then from there, I would connect one of the GL accounts from NetSuite directly to one of these classifications. And then, obviously, once I start labeling, I run calculations. It gives me a cost basis. Everything's clean. So then I export those transactions based on the classifications to my general ledger. So the classifications are linked to a GL account. I can sync those up. Those get pushed. And within my GL, I will only ever have one line item, and then this acts as my support for that one line item on my balance sheet. So all movement goes either through income statement, P&L, and then offsetting to my one line item on the balance sheet for all my digital assets. So then here I can pull up a report that will show me my cost basis, and my cost basis will agree to what I have on my balance sheet. And then at the month end time, I can go, okay, I have this cost basis. I can pick a point in time. It'll pull the Oracle prices for all of those assets, give me an unrealized gain loss figure for all of the items. I book a month end entry that I just reverse the following day, and I have my unrealized gain loss as well. So it's a very simple process. You have the option to do different currencies. I'm doing US, based in Cayman. But yeah, there's a lot of options here, and it's a nice clean report that I've worked on with them for a while now, and it's at a point that I'm really happy with. So I think that's a really easy way to push transactions to your ERP system. I haven't seen many others that run that simply. And there's multiple ways to push them. I mean, you can push them through a bank rec feature. Basically, you could treat it like a bank account. You can just directly push to the digital asset account and then have it offset to whatever you're, say if you're recording staking revenue, you just push the transactions. So basically all it does is credit your staking revenue, debit your digital assets. That's your cost basis. You will then tie that obviously again to your GL from this report here. So there's nothing here because I haven't ran a calculation. I don't care to, but I'm just showing for demonstration purposes. Yeah, so then portfolio, obviously you have your DeFi, your NFTs, that gets tracked in here. Classifications, we discussed those. There's gas fees. You can also create rules. So this is a really nice feature. We needed a situation where we can expand and we can track trades or whatever very simply. Trades, obviously, if you're tracking them through an exchange, there is a significant amount of transactions. So you want rules based around that. You can tag items that come through as fees automatically as gas fees. You can do anything that's a trade. You can automatically classify that. This rules feature is very easy to use, and it's something that I have created a lot of rules for, just because I hate sitting there and manually pressing buttons and classifying. I would rather have everything auto-create based on whatever address it came from, whatever address it went to, the purpose of it, whatever that may be. So I think that's a run through this payments tab. I'm not going to get into basically because I haven't got that far yet. There isn't a lot else you can do with this. That's why I haven't got there. But this is kind of next step in the roadmap. The roadmap is another one that we were aware of, or something that we were making sure of when we were onboarding with them. SOC type 2 reports are in the pipeline, as well as some other institutional developments. So yeah, you really want a platform if you're a company that has a long-term focus, well-funded, and has the ability or has the intention to build out a really robust system for institutions moving forward, and that's what we found with CryptoWorth. So I think I'll wrap that up there. Okay, so now this wallet is now synced up. You can see all these Matic transactions coming through. Some other spam tokens which you can just set to ignore. Yeah, you got more Matic movement. Yeah, so it's just added all these. So great. I think that's a high-level walkthrough. Probably took longer than I expected, but it's a very good platform, and I'd be willing to discuss more with anybody about it. So yeah, if you have any comments, if you've used it, if you've used something else, drop some comments below. All right, thank you.